Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be going over the Armoury just a little bit. I know weapons can be kind of confusing and I've had a few requests kind of to go over the Armoury and just different aspects of it. So this will be composed of like multiple videos because I can't show you or tell you everything about the Armoury and weapons in one short video. Just things constantly change and it's very difficult to convey all the information that I want to. Before we get started, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more content and information. So in the Armoury, I really enjoy using the top left search button. It helps me filter through my weapons quickly, and by clicking the different options, it allows me to see specific weapons faster. So right now I'm sorting by 4-star weapons and times crafted. So at the moment, the weapons that I'm currently crafting are at the very beginning. So that tells me the weapons that I can't really change or touch because they are being updated in my Armoury. So the first weapon we're looking at is the Violent Revolver. This is a great offensive weapon because it already has a purple stat of plus 30% attack. And 30% attack is the best you can get as a base start for a weapon, and this goes for any of the basic stats, being attack, HP, defense, and crit. This next weapon, the Violent Assault SMG, is not a very good weapon. You see there are 3 different colors on the attack, crit, and defense, and none of them are at least 30%. This tells me that this weapon, I could disassemble it and get weapon parts from it. So the rule of thumb when crafting on weapons, you want to start with a weapon that has a purple stat. If your weapon doesn't have a purple stat, either disassemble it or sell it for supply points because it is not the best type of weapon that you can use as a base starter. Based on whatever the purple stat is, that kind of helps you decide what type of weapon you want to craft. On a weapon like this, with plus 30 crit, it makes me think of a walker weapon because the more crit that you have, the greater chance you have of getting a headshot and killing a walker in one hit. You have a variety of different 4-star weapons that have different stats and different abilities, and by being able to deduce which weapons will be valuable to you will help you decrease the weapons that are in your inventory, as well as help you craft very strong weapons, either for offense, defense, walkers, onslaught, and so on. Different weapons with different abilities can be used and leveraged under different circumstances, and it's very important to acknowledge that some weapons just will never become as good as another. If I wanted to, I could craft on this weapon and change the stats on it, but I could potentially use a valuable crafting slot that I could have used on another weapon that has better base stats. This weapon has a yellow 3rd slot, so although it's a special, meaning it's not your typical HP, defense, crit, or attack, it's not as good as it could be. There are better options for this 3rd slot, so this is another weapon that I could disassemble. When we look through the different weapons that I have, you can also see special bound weapons. So these are weapons that can only be used by a specific character. We see Victor's weapon, we see Shiva's claws, which start out with plus 30% attack and defense, which is pretty unique. It also lets you know you could run this cat on either attack or defense, depending on what way you want to go about it. Some 3rd slot abilities seem like they could be good, but there are some very standard ones that most people use because their overall ability on almost any team is superior to what we see in front of us. So this bonus defense seems like it would be a great option, but when we have options like a better chance to impair the enemy when being attacked, this is the more obvious weapon choice to use. The bonus defense is nice, but it still allows the enemy to gain AP off of you. Meanwhile, an impair weapon like this would prevent the enemy from gaining AP. This is another weapon that could confuse people where attack down. So when attacking, a better chance to cause minus 30% attack for 3 turns to the enemy. Some people's initial reaction might be, great, I'm lowering the opponent's ability to attack and apply damage to me. But at the same time, it means you're allowing damage to still occur, and there's only a chance of that happening. At that, there are many ways to increase one's attack or decrease the opponent's defense. Now, I have a variety of different 4-star weapons. A lot of them I could probably disassemble because I don't see myself ever using them. Now, there are some exceptions, of course, to like bound weapons that have to be here. So Shiva's claws, Rick's blade, Priya's jarring weapon, like there's just a lot of different options. And even Priya's weapon here, as a 5-star, she is incredibly good. She was one of the best 5-star tunes to ever grace the game. And personally, I like seeing characters that are very unique, especially with off-trait weapons. So by off-trait, I mean Priya has a yellow stun weapon, so when being attacked, but that's a typical red gun that you can craft stun when being attacked. It's always interesting to me to come across unique weapons that do things that you don't expect them to do. Now, there are a lot of weapons in this game that I have no idea what I would use them for. Like this one, the bonus healing, I don't know when I would use this weapon because I don't run a lot of healers on attack, and on my defense team, it's more of an offensive defense team. Now, I'm not saying that that weapon has no value. The value is just different, and I'm sure that there's some people that could definitely run a weapon like that. It's just not something that I would conventionally use. Then again, there's a lot of weapons that other people would not usually use that I will. Take this weapon, for example. Siddiq's piercing shotgun. The 3rd slot, defense down. When attacking, a better chance to cause minus 30% defense for 3 turns to 1 enemy. Now, you might be asking, how is this any different from the attack down weapon? And the difference is, I could use a weapon like this in Onslaught, which is an area of a game where you don't want to use any rushes. So by not using any rushes, it means you don't have as many abilities, so you're not doing as much damage. It also means you might not have the option to use things like defense down rushes or attack up rushes. So you need to supplement that with interesting weapons. So this type of weapon would be perfect for Onslaught, where I need to lower the opponent's defense in order to kill them off faster. And it might be better than running an impair weapon, just because if I'm running a human shield on attack, they would be the only tune that really needs an impair weapon. This next weapon, Rick's Sapping Revolver, actually comes with a special that is very good and can actually be crafted on red weapons. AP down, so when attacking, a better chance to cause minus 30 AP to the enemy. This is a very good controlling weapon. It helps you control what the opponent is doing by draining their AP. This next weapon here, bonus crit. These type of bonus crit weapons, I find they work best against walkers, just because if you get a headshot, the walker instantly dies. There are so many unique weapons that you can collect, and it's all about finding a purpose and a use for them. This bonus attack weapon would also be decent in something like Onslaught, where you don't want to use rushes, but you might have a high basic attack damage dealer, and you don't want to use Splash because Splash weapons give away AP, and you have no way to apply Elusive to your whole team. Weapons will always be kind of an ongoing learning experience, because they're always coming out with different weapons, unique bound weapons, weapon caches, and as the game continues, these weapons will continue to evolve. Not long ago, we only had 3 slots on weapons, and now we have the option of upgrading them to 5-star weapons and having a 4th slot. And this 4th slot gives you a lot of opportunity. One of my favorite things to do with weapons is leveraging their abilities. So this reflect damage weapon, a better chance to deal 80% of a damage to the enemy. These are the types of weapons that I add on to like 1 and 2-star tunes so that I can cause the reflect damage to kill the overpowered opponent. And I want to get rid of a defense slot because defense decreases the amount of damage done. So I'm going to add crit, and I'm just going to do the quick 15-minute craft on this, putting whatever it is, it can crit or cannot crit, and I'll get either 8% or 10%. And as you see, I can skip it because it's only a 15-minute craft, and my prestige is high enough. I skip the time, get plus 10 crit, and all of a sudden that weapon will actually do more damage to the enemy if it triggers. These type of reflect damage weapons are great in territories if you want to try and kill the enemy's tunes by being passive. They can be used in survival roads sometimes across some of the more difficult stages, just because sometimes you don't have the best tunes, but what you can do is you can leverage what you do have just to get past a stage. As you can probably guess, I'm a big believer in making somewhat useless weapons useful. This self-healing weapons when killing an enemy, a better chance to regain 100% HP and 50% defense for one turn. This type of weapon, I think, would be great for killing walkers if you just add on plus 30 crit onto the weapon and then keep upgrading crit. That way, your toon has another method of healing themselves, say if there's burn or bleed on the walkers present. So I just like having different options available. This is the type of weapon that I would use against walkers. I have a few of them actually crafted specifically with plus 30 crit and that self-healing, and I find them to be very effective, especially when I don't have a healer that I want to run on my offensive walker team. I've also been a bit lucky where I've been able to pull some double attack weapons. Now this type of weapon is ideal. It's so easy to make this into an extremely powerful weapon. We want to get rid of the 10% HP. We already have double attack on the weapon as well as base plus 30% attack. So by changing this to a huge bonus to AP when attacking, we are setting ourselves up for a killer weapon. There aren't many weapons that are set up this way where you have two ideal stats on them and them not being a bound weapon, but when you do, you definitely want to utilize it. Now, on this defensive weapon here, I want to try and get this elusive impair. I am actually going to speedcraft this by using a blowtorch, and I'm hoping that I'll get this because it would be very effective on a human shield for me. So my first craft, I was unsuccessful in getting the craft that I wanted, so I'm going to try again on a different weapon but the same type of weapon. And the only reason I'm not doing it on the same weapon as before is because I'm too lazy to go back and reset the weapon for now. I'm just going to try on a new weapon. I have another critical hit and ooh, a legendary weapon. That tells me that it's a good upgrade, and I got the elusive impair. This type of weapon makes me super excited because this is the type of weapon that I'd want to put on a toon like Frost, for example, after I get him as an S-class toon. It can still work on some of my other characters, like Angel if I want, or Blue 6-star Magna. It's just a great defensive weapon to have, and it's the type of weapon that I'm going to want to tank out with a lot of defense and HP. The next thing I want to do on this weapon is change the 20% AP and replace the basic weapon effect to try and get 30% HP. Now there is a chance, of course, that I could get 24%, which would still be an upgrade, but just not the upgrade that I want. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video. I'll definitely do more videos on the Armoury just because of how extensive it is.